Hello everybody. I'm here with Dr. Deepak Malhotra, whose book has just been released, and I extend, many congratulations to Dr. Deepak Malhotra on this occasion.
Thank you.
I believe this is his first book, and this is a very special moment for Dr. Malhotra. And I thought, let me take out some time to talk to him about his book. What does it carry? What does it have to tell the people, to the audience? So here I am with Dr. Malhotra. Dr. Malhotra, you're welcome to Jaipuria campus.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your words, kind words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, this is definitely a proud moment for all of us, since your book got released on this campus. So on this occasion, definitely, since many of us have gone through this book, and you'd like to know what made you write this book.
I think simply put forward, there were a few things which were happening across the world. The engagement scores are dipping in our country. We find that employee engagement score is currently at 9%, which means 91 out of 100 people are either disengaged or either neither engaged, neither disengaged. So it gives you a big opportunity. Number two, I felt that corporates should need to focus more on human resources, because as per my survey and world statistics, 64% of the organization do not have an HR plan or a talent management plan.
True.
And even a retention plan out of their talent management and engagement plan. So that was one part of it. I think another very interesting part is that we are expected to be one of the youngest workforce in the country, in the world, one of the youngest, and in the next decade or so, 8 to 10 years. And if we say that 64% of our organization do not have an HR plan, this is a reason for worry, and you are going to get a population blast of people in Gen Y and one-click generation who are more organized, and who would need things in place. So I think this is an intent, an honest intent to put this thing forward. Also, the chat hour of Keep Them Engaged, which I have recently started, is an honest intent, to get actionable, implementable plans, because most of us talk a lot, but implementation is something which needs to be worked more on.
Absolutely true.
I believe that 60-65% of your time should be as a leader, not to think but to implement what you have thought, and correct it on the due course of time. So that's the intent behind putting it forward. And if I sum it up, every employee wants to call his leader, that please me, in simple word, please me, make me happy. So I think that's the basic crux of the book.
Right. Somewhere you have mentioned that it is the generation gap, because of which this engagement happening, right? And that somewhere prompted you to write a book on engagement, because this is more of happening in countries like India, where, as you said, it's 9%, So, can you talk more on that, generation gap, because it's a lot of innovation happening in corporate world, a lot of more and more new practices are coming. Still, why is it that we are facing the problem of disengagement?
I think the major thing is it is not only in India. The overall average world score is also 13%, which is not very brilliant to have, though our 9% is reflective of a score below that. Another interesting thing which has happened 5 days back, if you would have noticed in newspapers, we were rated 117th in the happiness scale. So I feel that again coming back to the same thing, our thought processes are there, but we are not able to implement it on the real life scenario or for the people, So that's the basic thing of putting it into black and white, and I thought why not? There is nothing better than putting my 2 decades of experience into pen and paper, and I have fortunately worked with different industries, and every time I have moved a job, I have moved an industry. So from manufacturing to consumer durable to ITES to hospitality. So you pick up some great practices, of diverse industries, diverse things which you see around with, if you keep your all five senses open and use the sixth one, which is uncommon in human beings, So if you use all the six senses, I think you pick up a lot of learnings, and human life is just unlearning, relearning, and learning, and again unlearning, relearning, and learning. So I think that's been a big thing, and coming back to your question, why we are, why we are not being successful. I think the basic crux is that the focus on human resources, or the focus on humane human resources, that has been I feel missing a little bit, and we need to gather our thoughts. We need to work on enabling the next generation which is coming to the workplace. We have to handhold them. They are a fantastic generation, and one or two incidents don't make them sad or bad. Okay, so they are a fantastic generation, and we have to leverage that what they get into the world with their characteristics. I'll give you a simple example. As per studies, or as per the normal myth, we feel that Generation Y and one-click generation do not have teamwork in them. Okay, but as per studies, they have more teamwork than us. You know why? Because they live in virtual world. Their teamwork comes out of the video games and the virtual world they live in. They play on a PS4 with somebody in Germany, somebody in US, somebody in England, and it is a part of a teamwork. So they are more aligned to teamwork than we are in our generation. So some of the myths I wanted to break, and I think, as I said, that this generation.
So do you think that this book would, to some extent, serve this purpose of, establishing an alignment between Gen X and Gen Y?
I think the intent was honest. Intent was that, with studies or with whatever time I've spent and whatever time I spent with the leaders, while writing the book and while doing my PhD, the intent was to look at, different generations. Now, when you look at different generations, they come with different, according to me, different skills, different multi-skilling abilities, different attitude, different mindsets, different behaviors, different abilities to handle technology, okay, different work and life balance, ethics, lot of different things. So if my need is different from your need, then I need to be engaged also differently. And I feel that leadership going forward, whichever part of the country we are or world we are, is going to move from one to many to individual interventions. I need my component and benefits to be designed the way I want. You might not have EMIs like I have. I want my engagement to be designed the way I want it. I want training to be designed the way I want it. I think it has to move to individualistic approach, as I call it, futuristic, and maybe one more chapter will get into the book soon.
Absolutely. Another thing is, there's something that you have talked about when you have that engagement is not a destination, it is a journey, right? So which means, is it only the responsibility of HR leaders to keep their people engaged, because it is particularly the HR leaders who take care of the human resource management in any organization?
I think it is the responsibility, though if simply I have to answer it in one line, it is the responsibility of every people leader to engage his or her team. It is not a responsibility of CEO or HR head to engage people. Every people leader is responsible for good and bad of his people. Okay, if he does well or if he does not do well, it is responsibility of me as his, I call them people supervisor, So it is the responsibility, equal responsibility of everybody. According to me, human resources role comes in, when you need to facilitate that.
Right.
You know, say some companies have a very interesting, if you look at around, you know, they have tools for team leaders to take a dip test of engagement there and then on the shop floor.
Right, right.
Okay, so that's an innovation, you know. So I don't have to go to HR for a dip test. I can do it at my place. So in critical times, I feel that, you know, you need to be engaged with your team. You need to be there 24/7, and you need to give timely feedback. So this is the future, you know, of engagement. Also, as you said, it is a journey. I think my tagline from the chat, "Keep them engaged," is that it is a journey. It is not a destination. Because if the generations change every 3 years, then I need to write a chapter every year in the book, you know. So it is going to remain. I will have to keep upgrading, and we all will have to, as people managers, keep upgrading your thoughts. And if sorry, I cut you short. If you know, if I'm speaking today about, you know, 3 years down the line an MBA graduate becoming absolute, then I am also going to become absolute 3 years down the line. So I need to keep upgrading myself as their leader, you know. And I need to be open also sometimes, you know, to have a more competent follower than what I am today. Maybe my son can handle my tab better than I can handle. So I have to acknowledge that.
Yeah, it is happening with the present generation, yeah, electronic generation. Another thing is, let us talk about the physical aspect of your book. Which part or area did you enjoy the most while writing?
I think I can't say which part of my son's body I love most and which I don't love most. But I think I'm more one click and one gen wise. So I love speaking and working with them, and service industry is full of them, and you know that is an interesting part which I have written. Though I say that, you know, the three very interesting part of the book are, one, the parable between the leadership and the casting director of a movie. So it runs parallelly.
Okay.
You know, it runs parallelly with the whole story of the book. So if I've spoken about leadership, then I've taken an example of leadership from movies. Okay, if I've spoken about say something very particular, then I have spoken about a movie wherein, you know, how do you dress up a women artist. So I've tried and related that. The second very interesting part of the story is it talks about real-time examples. So what I have done in my workplace, in my previous organizations, what I have done in current organizations.
That is easy for a reader to understand, to, you know, relate and comprehend.
That's what the feedback I've got till now. You know, it is very simple and it is very easy to refer to. But I think that's an interesting part. Also, wherever it has been possible, I've spoken back to my CEO or the boss and put down his thoughts as on date, what could have been better, or what we did was better, or what he felt, you know. And fortunately, the book has 2 IM directors forward, 2 of my CEOs forward whom I have worked with, and 1 person forward who is a hotel management, you know, Greek, and I have read his books. He has written a forward for my book. So I think it justifies that we had to just get rid of few forwards because the book didn't have space for few more.
Okay.
So I'm hopeful, you know, that people will like it.
Okay. Does it have any specific reader audience?
I think, according to me, anybody can read it.
Right.
Because every people leader needs to manage his
As a
own
management
people.
student, how will I relate myself with the book?
I think as a management student, you need to be a future leader.
Right.
You expect yourself to be a future leader, whether you are an MBA student or whether you are a hotel management student or whether you are an engineering student also. You become a supervisor after you pass out and you have a team to manage. So I think happiness of that team or engagement of that team, so I shouldn't use happiness as a word, engagement is far more than that, but engagement of that team, you know, technically is the responsibility of you as a people leader. So I think somebody has written in the foreword, it can be read by entrepreneurs, C-level executives. It can be read by normal people leaders. It can be read by future leaders. It can be read by hotel management, engineering students. And one of the feedback I've got from Sweden says that my granny is reading it and my father is reading it. So
Great.
I think you need to read it to enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Malhotra. It was nice talking to you, to know
Pleasure
more
is
about
mine.
your book. Right, and many, many congratulations once again, and I wish you all the luck. May you receive a lot of acclaim and applause across the world.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.